Hey guys, Jarek is here. Today we've got one of the new boss encounters for patch 10.2, the new Amir Drasil raid. This is going to be Volcoross. He's the fiery serpent, a single target encounter with relatively easy mechanics. This was tested on heroic difficulty. The goal of today's video is going to be just to give you a brief overview of the major mechanics of the encounter, and then at the end, I'll include a full-length video of our clear so that you can get an idea for what the fight's going to look like. As always, I appreciate catching up with you guys on my Twitch stream or checking out on Twitter. And of course, subscribing, liking, and commenting on the video is always appreciated. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. Volcoross is one of the new bosses coming to the raid, scheduled to be released with patch 10.2. It's a single target encounter with a circular or donut-shaped arena where the boss is positioned in the middle and the boss doesn't move throughout the fight. It's important to remember that this is PTR, and so, of course, all the damage numbers and all of that will likely be tuned. But I wanted to go over some of the major mechanics just to give you guys a feel for how the fight's likely going to flow when it's released. Of course, I'll make sure to release a guide once it's released on retail, and we have some better idea for damage output and damage checks, etc. Shortly after engaging Volcoross, he'll cast his first major ability, Serpent's Fury. This causes AoE fire damage to every member of the raid. Additionally, several players will then be afflicted by a debuff called Coiling Flames. Coiling Flames is a debuff that causes a small circle AoE around the affected player that travels with them. That player is then going to take ticking fire damage as a debuff. Additionally, any players who step into that circle will also take fire damage as well. After the debuff expires, it then transfers to another player. Scorchtail Crash is the next ability. He would lift up his tail and it would loom over the arena and then slam down. Luckily, it was pretty easy to identify because you'd see this big shadow that would take up part of the arena, indicating where the tail was going to slam down. Anybody hit by it, automatic one-shot, just killed you immediately. After it would slam down, small waves of flame would shoot out, and you would just have to run in between them to avoid taking additional damage. So next up, probably the most important mechanic that we faced in this encounter. It's called Flood of the Firelands. So what happens here is that when Volcoross reached 100 energy, he would submerge down and then launch two large globs of magma into the air. Where those were going to land was indicated by large red AoE circles on the ground. There were two of them each time this happened. And the goal of this mechanic was that you had to put at least 4 players into each of the 2 circles that were on the ground. And when it would strike down, all players within the circle would split a large amount of damage. The trick here was that if you failed to have at least 4 players struck by each of the balls of magma, then that would end up causing a raid wipe, as the whole arena would fill up with lava. Last mechanic up is Volcanic Disgorge. Here, Volcoross would target a few players in the raid and would throw some lava balls in their general direction. These would be indicated by small red swirlies, and you just had to get out of them. Whenever they landed, they would leave behind those pools of lava that you had to avoid standing in. All right, let's game, gamers. Let's see what up. Holy.